We're beginning this hour with new CNN reporting that takes us behind the scenes, revealing just how close the Supreme Court came to saving Roe v. Wade. According to multiple sources, Chief Justice John Roberts fought to the bitter end, trying to convince his fellow conservative justices to preserve the constitutional right to abortion. But it was the unprecedented leak of a draft opinion reversing Roe that may have doomed Roberts' efforts.
New details obtained by CNN reveal the high-stakes internal abortion rights drama that intensified in April when the justices first learned the draft opinion would soon be published. Tensions over the fate of Roe were only heightened by an investigation into the source of the leak that diminished whatever chance Roberts had to dislodge the 5-justice bloc set to overturn the abortion ruling.
Joining us to share her fascinating new reporting here is CNN legal analyst Joan Biskupic. Joan, tell us how hard he was fighting to bring some folks over to his side.
Morning, Brianna and John. Extremely hard. He was trying week after week after the initial vote in December, after oral arguments, in which 5 of the justices on the far right voted to overturn Roe. Roberts was alone in the middle, wanting to uphold this Mississippi 15-week ban on abortions, but not go further than Roe. And then, of course, you had the 3 liberals saying, we don't want to do any of this. We don't want to disrupt abortion rights at all. So Roberts keeps trying, and it's interesting, Brianna, that not only did his work affect, his efforts toward the 2 newest justices, Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, but it had an effect on the others. The hard right justices became concerned that he could be successful. The chief has himself switched votes in the past, and he has also been able to pick off justices on the far conservative side for a more of a moderate centrist decision in certain cases. So they became anxious about what he was up to. And the liberals, who had such a defeat this session, started to have some hope that maybe Roe would not be overturned completely. But then on May 2nd, when the draft of the opinion was released and everything went public, it made John Roberts' efforts all the harder, because he's a man who likes to work privately, in secret, offering some concessions himself, seeking concessions for some sort of, as I say, cross-ideological compromise. And it went down to the wire, according to my sources. But in the end, he made no headway.
The first vote, which I learned only from your reporting, was back in December. I mean, it was earlier than I think we had realized. You said it went down to the wire, though. Did either Kavanaugh or Amy Coney Barrett ever give any reason to anyone to believe that they were going to side with Roberts on this?
That's a great question, John. And I wanted to know, especially with Brett Kavanaugh, who often will, sound ambivalent and send mixed signals, but in the end stick with the far right, to see just how much encouragement he might have given the chief. As I understand it, his vote was solid, but he never said that he wasn't going to listen to the chief. So the chief kept trying. The thing that happened that, as I said, really thwarted things was when it was clear to the public how Justice Kavanaugh and Justice Barrett had voted. It locked them in more than might have been expected at that point. It made it all the more difficult. And, I do think that Brett Kavanaugh, despite what he said during his confirmation hearing, and despite the way that he has sort of really publicly wrung his hands on this issue, was likely never going to switch. He was probably never going to change after he first said that he wanted to reverse Roe. His signal from the bench during those oral arguments, John, in December before they took that vote was, pretty strong. It's just that he has been in play before, and the chief just did not want to give up. He felt like this decision would be so wrong. They did not even take this case to decide Roe v. Wade. They took this case just to decide whether a ban on 15 weeks of a ban on abortions at 15 weeks of pregnancy was constitutional. Because, as you probably remember, Roe v. Wade and the 1992 Planned Parenthood versus Casey had set up a firewall, essentially, of viability, that states could not interfere with a woman's right to abortion before a fetus would be viable to live outside the womb. And that was at about 23 weeks.
Yeah, they really took an opportunity here. That leak, as you said, cementing things, is under internal investigation at the court. What's the latest on that investigation?
Okay, so, we're several months in, and law clerks and permanent employees have been asked to turn over electronic devices. They've continued with the search, but nobody's been caught, and there's just a lot of skepticism inside that despite how aggressive the investigation has gone, that they are not close to finding out who it is. That draft was dated February 10th, and it became public through Politico when it published it on May 2nd. So, it could have changed hands. It might not be just one single person. You don't know how strategic it was that someone did try to leak it. But you know what? In the end, it's the effect it had. It could have very much have been a very strategic leak, Brianna.
All right, Joan, thank you so much. And of course, we can check out your essential reporting at CNN.com. Great stuff, Joan.